So lately I've been struggling a lot with really quite intense anxiety, and I just wanted to kind of do a bit of a video talking about how just like a sense of shame, a deep sense of shame, toxic shame as it's called by those in the know, um, really kind of has a sort of like a direct relationship to sort of like fear and panic and then also depression. Um, so I was watching another lady's video today, and she was pretty much kind of talking about just that, and it really helped me a lot to hear this from her. And she's also a fellow survivor and stuff, and it just made so much sense. It's like there's so many different strands to this kind of problem, and this the way that you can heal from it, that it's hard sometimes to like compile it all together and like make sense of it because it's like it's like many different threads, and it's like you weave it all into a tapestry, but sometimes like like some of the threads fall off, or you like forget stuff, and there just seems to be like, as a part of trauma recovery and healing, a kind of like amnesia built in because the feelings are so strong. It's like, you might know something or learn something in your mind, but then your feelings like contradict that, and your feelings tell you the opposite thing. The feelings want to drag you back, like back to hell, back to the trauma world because they know what to do there, right? Like they know where they are there. But what we're trying to do, right, is to drag ourselves up, like out of hell and into like a better world, a new world, like where we can be healthy and happy and not punishing ourselves and replicating what we had when we were younger. So anyway, I was just re- I just thought I'd make a video kind of reflecting on that, and how I'm really trying, but it's really fucking hard, and I'm sure you guys can relate. But yeah, like the feeling that I've been struggling with for the past while now, past couple of weeks, is one where I just feel like inside, like in my sort of gut place that I've described in a couple other videos, sort of in this one particular part of like my intestinal tract, on my left side, where I just feel like a buzz, bzzz, like bzzz, like a real like unsettled feeling, like a deep, and it like commands me to do stuff, like do stuff, do stuff, do stuff, like like it's almost like repels me, right? Or like incites me into action, but it like doesn't. It's like there but not there, it like doesn't want my attention. But the thing is I've been trying to give it my attention, because it too is part of me. um that is a part of me that's kept me safe, safe and sound, and surviving, like putting one foot in front of the other and getting through this life, not like totally collapsing into a heap, and but it's like the energy that I get from this place is like demon energy, it's not proper energy, it's not based in anything, it's just based on fear, and the fear of annihilation, and truly just like, yeah, like annihilation, not just death, annihilation, right? Soul death. That's way worse than death because you're still alive to experience it. It's being totally exiled and no connection with any other human being. And it probably is one of the worst and the scariest things that could happen to a human being. And I think that that is probably the most terrifying thing in existence, in the world. Um, that's a universal experience that we all go through, and the fact the people that struggle with anxiety and depression and, ill mental health, you could say, I think we are the people who, as children, as young children, and maybe even infants, experience this feeling very, very much, and not just once, right? It could be just once, but probably several times, right? At least because it is it is the strongest feeling in existence, because it is an existential threat, but like of a kind of surreally terrible kind, And the reason we experience this is because, as babies, as children, um, we were threatened and by our parents, one or the other parent or both. Um, we were shamed for our emotions, which our emotions are, in fact, the truest expression of ourselves. So when we express ourselves via our emotions, right? Natural. And if we're shamed by that, we're shamed about that by a parent, then that parent is essentially telling us that we're bad, Not just part of us is bad, but everything about us is bad. And so you take that on. And the sad part is that they think to give that to you because that was done to them. And it's such a terrible feeling, and it's not just shame, right? It is shame, and that's the source of it. But it's shame plus existential terror of annihilation, And those go hand in hand. And where depression fits in is when the terror gets too much, then your body goes into like a kind of a shutdown mode or depression. So it's all kind of the same thing, but it's just like a sort of like a spectrum, if you will, of like how long in your body you've experienced it for. So it is essentially all the same thing, and the source of it all is this toxic shame, this shame that our parents gave us, that came from their parents, that maybe came from their parents before that, you know and it is a sad legacy because it is such a horrible feeling that, in a way, whether we want to or not, it's very easy to pass it on to vulnerable people around us. And who's more vulnerable than a tiny child, especially if you have, it's your child and you have quite a lot of power and influence over this child, And if you haven't done your own work, if you haven't understood that shame is driving you, and it is shame and this kind of severe fear is driving you, it is you will pass it on. You'll pass it on. Even if you've done a lot of work, you'll probably pass it on. So anyway, there's my hopeful message, but just wanted to make a video about this while I can.